Okay, I'm back. We got kicked out for a policy violation. I don't know the rules with that because I know a lot of people do reaction videos. So maybe I just need to talk more, because I'm certainly not redistributing this or anything, just reacting to some footage. So here we are in Sister Act. Hope you guys are joining us from part one. I see some viewers are here. Let me know you're here in the comments. So it's right after they sang this groovy song, and some young people from the street came in. The youngsters are flocking to this mass because they have a bunch of singing sisters. So I love this next scene with the older nun and Whoopi Goldberg. This is just like so fitting for what we're talking about. And I guess I got to talk more because so it doesn't, there's no policy violations.
Boogie woogie on the piano, what were you thinking?
I was thinking more like Vegas, get some butts in the seats.
And what next? Popcorn? Curtain calls? This is not a theater or a casino.
Yeah, but that's the problem, see? People like going to theaters and they like going to casinos, but they don't like coming to church. Why? Because it's a drag.
Okay, that's... All right, anyone want to take a whack at that argument? Why why is that not a good argument? Let's hear it again.
This is not a theater or a casino.
She's right. It's not a theater or a casino. It's the Holy Mass.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
But, get ready? Ready for the rejoinder?
People like going to theaters and they like going to casinos, but they don't like coming to church. Why? Because it's a drag.
Oh, so, okay. All right, Whoopi. So let's imagine we're on The View with Whoopi Goldberg, and she's like explaining, we got to change the mass. You know why? Because it's a drag, and we got to make it more like a casino, more like a theater. Obviously, when we do that, we're not as good as a casino. If we're trying to be a casino, we're just not going to be as good as a real casino. If we're trying to be a theater, like make the mass a play, it's not going to be as good as an actual theater and an actual play. Yeah, if we try to make the mass like a really awesome worship experience, it's never going to be as good as Protestant worship services that have all this money and equipment and design behind them. But the Mass is not those things. The Mass is the holy sacrifice of the cross. It is the representation of Calvary for the salvation of the world. And so, yeah, I'm getting very serious very quick. But yeah, I just hear this a lot, that we got to, tweak the Mass so that you make it more palatable. But it's really like, it's the next time you're at Mass, just imagine you're there at Golgotha, at the foot of the cross. You're not doing anything. You're witnessing something. You're witnessing the crucifixion. And to tinker with that is to mess with the way God has ordained the Mass. Like if you were there at the crucifixion, and to try to change what was happening, like was it St. Peter who said, like, do not go through with this, like, let me die instead, or I forgot what he said, but he was trying to stop Jesus from giving his life. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about in the comments, but Christ said, "Get behind me, Satan." This is the will of God, the crucifixion, the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. And that is the Mass. That is what's behind all these signs and symbols at the Mass. And so to mess with that would be like, tinker with what God is doing for the salvation of the world. But it's not groovy. She's right. It's the Mass isn't very groovy.
But we could change all that. See, we could pack this joint.
Through blasphemy, you have corrupted the entire choir.
Excuse me.
Here comes the priest. What do you think he's going to say?
I worked my butt off.
They're giving up their free time to do this, and they're good. I mean, sister, we could rock this place.
Out of the question. As of tomorrow, Mary Lazarus resumes her leadership of the choir. Come in!
Okay, here comes the priest. Let's see what he says.
Reverend Mother, I just wanted to congratulate you. I haven't enjoyed Mass this much in years. What a marvelous program. Innovative, inspiring. You're to be commended. I can't wait till next Sunday when the choir performs again. Did you see the people walk right in from the street? That music, that heavenly music. Reverend Mother, it called to them.
Mm-hmm.
It did?
I must tell the Archbishop. I'll send him a personal letter describing your efforts. Your bold new fight to keep your little convent alive.
And you must also include...
Yeah, so he comes in. Man, Mass has been really boring for my 40 years as a priest, and finally...
Rock this place.
Out of the question.
Oh, what is he
I
saying?
haven't enjoyed Mass this much in years. What a marvelous program.
I haven't enjoyed Mass this much in years. Father's just been sitting there waiting for Mass to entertain him, and he thinks it's a program. That's the problem. Anyways, I'm getting too serious. Let's go to the next clip. Okay, I found this just the other day. I was looking at clips of the Mass and films, what I could find on YouTube. This looks like a fascinating film. I haven't seen it, but I think it's an interesting moment in the film. It's also beautifully shot. Okay, Corpus Christi, 2020. This is, according to the description, a reformed criminal is prevented from applying to the seminary after his release. So he dresses as a priest and ministers a small town parish. So it's a guy with really good intentions who wants this town to be Catholic, I assume, and more religious. Let's hear what happens at his first Mass.
Cisza też może być modlitwą. Ja tu nie przyszedłem klepać formułek. Mam nadzieję, że wy też nie. Jak coś, to Bóg też jest na zewnątrz, nie? Bo po co my tu jesteśmy?
I mean, it's beautiful shots.
No bo to jest tak.
But he's interrupting the Mass.
Przychodzimy do
giving a little
kościoła.
sermon.
Patrzymy na niego. Jezu, jak ja mam cię naśladować? Ty jesteś taki czysty. Ja taki brudny z tym wszystkim, co do ciebie przynoszę. Jak ja mam działać w twoim imieniu? Jak ja sam ze sobą nie daję rady?
Okay, so before I get flagged again, I think it's interesting that he starts off by saying, I'm not here to pray mechanically. Maybe he's doing the Mass and feels like the prayers that the church has passed on feels very mechanical to him. Neither are you, I hope. Thanks for the comments. This is great, guys. Thanks for interacting. I'll get to any questions towards the end. Yeah, this scene is very interesting because I've heard this a lot. You know, God is everywhere. You know, God is also outside, right? Well, what's the assumption we're supposed to draw? God is everywhere. Therefore, the unspoken assumption is, why do we have to be so, you know, purposeful about gathering in a church, praying these prayers? Basically being Catholic. Yeah, I wonder if you guys have heard that. Like, can't you pray everywhere? Like, why do you need to pray in a church? Or why do you go to Mass? The way I think of it is, so Mass is the representation of the sacrifice of Calvary for the remission of our sins, for the glory of God, for the salvation of the world. So you are walking and witnessing the death of Christ for salvation. And imagine you were actually at the foot of the cross 2,000 years ago, and someone said to you, hey, do you know that God is everywhere? Like, you don't need to be here adoring Christ on the cross. I mean, obviously God is everywhere, but there's a particular kind of presence, right? With obviously the real presence of Christ, but in the representation of the sacrifice of the cross, when Christ said, do this in memory of me, this is the cup of my blood. And so do this in memory of me, like he made it all about his sacrifice. That's what we're doing at the Mass. So yes, God is, like if you're at the Last Supper and you're like, why are you here? Or if you're at Golgotha, why are you here? God is everywhere. Couldn't you just pray in your room? Or by some tree or something? Well, God is everywhere, but God is particularly here. I haven't seen this film, but it's beautifully shot. And I think it's interesting. Let's skip forward a little bit. What does he say here?
To się pomódl.
Then go and pray.
No tak po prostu. No.
Just pray from the bottom of your
Jak
heart.
czujesz? Teraz. Pogadaj się z Bogiem.
Did you say ball game?
Teraz. Pogadaj się z Bogiem.
Anyone know what language this
Zaśpiewaj
is?
dla Niego.
Russian or Polish? I don't know.
Pan jest pasterzem
So then they go on singing, which is interesting. I mean, this would be a beautiful scene, you know, if it's outside. I get all bothered by it taking place in the Mass, to interrupt the Mass, and which is interrupting the sacrifice on Calvary to say, hey, I have an idea. Let's do this. Yeah, but I think when we have taken away all these signs and symbols of the Mass, like genuflections, the priest facing the altar, the signs of the cross, the mentions of our unworthiness and sin and everything, then we've just forgotten as a culture that we are at the sacrifice of Calvary. The more we get away from sacredness in signs and symbols, and the form of the Mass and the music and everything, the more we forget where we are, and we need to kind of, impose our own ideas. We need to kind of stir up faith. We need it to be about something else. I don't know if that makes sense. That's how I think of it. All right, so the last one I want to watch is from the film True Confessions. This is the intro to the film. Look how Latin massy this is. I love a film that's. I hope you guys can hear me all right when I talk over the film too, but I love it when a film does its research. It's like, oh yeah, this looks like the Mass that would have been at that time. And at your local Latin Mass parish today. Beautiful.
Dominus vobiscum.
I didn't know that, Christopher. Real priests on set. Legit. So I also heard that. I wonder if I turn this down here, if it turns it down for you guys. De Niro learned how to pray the whole Mass. That's pretty incredible. Well, not pray the actual Mass, but obviously as an actor. But look, he's got it down. Yeah, he does look legit. He looks like he knows what he's doing. Beautiful. The guy's coughing. I haven't seen this film. Now I want to watch it though. But this is so realistic, having a guy cough at Mass. Happens all the time. Where are the screaming babies though? Like, where are my kids? Just so beautiful. Maybe his volume's a little too high for the consecration. You know, getting nitpicky here, but it's supposed to be in a quiet, almost silent whisper. So nitpicky. Beautiful vestments. Look at those. Anyone know what Mass that's from? Any Brad Trads here know what Mass they're singing from? I don't know. I'm in the choir and I don't know. Cool. Well, that was fun. So, you know, earlier in the video we were talking about St. Pio and his Mass facing the people. So he got an indult to celebrate the Latin Mass all the way up to his death. But I'd be interested to look at the saints of that time. You know, Jose Maria Escriva, St. Pio, you know, JP2, Mother Teresa, and just see, we should do like a little study. I know there's been articles and stuff written on how they viewed the Latin Mass very positively, but it'd be interesting to actually see that laid out. All right. Any questions you guys have about the film? So Mass of the Ages is a trilogy of films on the Latin Mass. And the first film has a live premiere on August 15th. So if you join our mailing list, theliturgy.org, then you can be a part of that live premiere. And that's going to be the only way you can watch it at first. And we're going to have a later, wider public release. But if you want to join us for a live premiere, go to theliturgy.org and sign up. Click Get Notified. And we're going to have a live premiere on August 15th. So join us for that. We're making a trilogy on the Latin Mass. The first film is a beautiful introduction to the Latin Mass. Each film has real, honest, beautiful, sometimes heartbreaking stories of traditional Catholics. And the second film gets into some of the surprising investigations about the implementation of the new Mass after Vatican II. And episode 3 gets into the restoration of the Latin Mass. And it's a lot more... whereas the first film doesn't get into a lot of the history, the third film does, and it shows actual parishes being turned around, like St. John Cantius and St. Joseph Oratory in Detroit. So anyways, go to the website, get notified about the film, and then you can join us at a live premiere. All right. Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Sorry for earlier when we got flagged for some reason for showing clips and reacting to them. Yeah, you're right, John. The experience isn't what we're there for. We're there to give due honor to our Lord. And I found that the experience of that, I mean, we're made to worship God. We're made to be in relationship with him. And so put first things first. We're not there to stir up an experience in ourselves. We're there to worship God. And in so doing, we find out who we truly are. Yep, interesting. So the interesting thing about the Sister Act is it was supposed to take place in 1968, I believe, which was before the new Mass was authorized. I know they had an interim missal since 1965, but the way they did the parish was like kind of a wacky, like the priest was just kind of making up, he was just adding things to the Mass based on his personal preferences. All right, let's see here. Yeah, exactly. I haven't enjoyed Mass this much in years. What an excellent program. He should just go to the theater if that's what he wants. Jennifer, coming from a convert who started out being very critical of the Mass in both forms is widely misunderstood. Having a deep understanding of the Mass makes it exciting. Interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what you mean by exciting. Maybe. Yeah, I think I would agree with you that the more, and this is what the liturgical movement in the early 20th century was all about, is not changing anything about the Mass. I mean, from like Dom Guéranger and St. Pope Pius X, they believe there was a need to open up the treasures of the Mass to the people who didn't understand it. So you can do that by teaching people about the Mass. Like, here's a catechism, here are the prayers of the Mass, let me tell you what they mean so you can go deeper into it. Or you can do that by changing the Mass to make it more simple and palatable and modern. The early liturgical movement was all about just unpacking, unfolding the richness of the Mass. And I totally on board with that. Like, let's learn about the Mass. I think the hand missal with the English and Latin side by side at a Latin Mass just solves 95% of the problems with I don't understand what's going on. We don't need to make the Mass modern and pedestrian and simple, because that's not what the Mass is. The Mass isn't simple. It is complex. It is eternally mysterious and beautiful. Niro looked legit in that role. That was cool. Christopher, I think you're talking about the film with De Niro. What is it called? I already forgot what it's called. True Confessions, True Lies. What was it called? Anyone in the comments? What was that film called? I can look at my recent history. Doesn't matter. If I did watch it, I would turn on. I don't know if you guys have heard of VidAngel. You can cut out, and you can filter movies you watch. So, cut out sexual scenes or blasphemy, stuff like that. So if I did watch it, it would be that way. I was confirmed in a liberal-leaning parish in 2015. I've seen some bad things. I think we all have. No, they aren't all the same, but the last one I attended, the priest asked whose birthdays were that week. That's a weird way to interrupt the sacrifice on Calvary, in my opinion. Yeah. So where can you see the film? So it's not out yet, and on August 15th, you can join us for a live premiere. So just a month and a couple weeks away. It's exciting. August 15th, get notified on our website, theliturgy.org, and you'll see the first film. We'll watch it live together. True Confessions. Thank you, Christopher. That's what it's called. Good question, William. Were you able to travel overseas like you planned with COVID being a factor? So now that the film is a trilogy, we're able to stretch out when we release episode 2 and episode 3. We still are planning to get overseas. One of two things are going to happen. Either we can't go at all, which means we're going to work remotely with some field producers to be able to get footage still overseas to incorporate into the second and or third film. Or option 2 is we do get to go overseas, and that's what we're moving forward with as of this point. So we're planning to go to at least Italy at this point, and things could change. But regardless, episode 3 at least is going to give a much broader, more global picture of the Latin Mass currently today. So we need footage from overseas to make that happen. Great, guys. Well, we'll leave it at that. Let me know in the comments what kind of videos you want in the future. We want to talk about things like, why does the priest face the people at the Novus Ordo? Is that the way Vatican II set it out? We want to maybe go into like the different, like St. Pio, St. Mother Teresa, what they viewed about the Latin Mass. Any other ideas you guys have for just getting nerdy with the Latin Mass? Let's go deep. Let's talk about this channel is all about the Latin Mass. So subscribe if you haven't. Let me pull that up. Be a good little altar server and ring that bell so you know whenever we go live that we're going live. And hopefully we don't get demonetized for that. To make sure you are staying up to date with Mass of the Ages, though, get notified, because then, the world, the socialist world hasn't blocked emails yet. So that's the best way to stay notified about the project. We send out very occasional updates about what we're doing, and that's the only way you'll be able to access the live premiere. So thanks. Have a great day. God bless you guys. Peace.